Discover the Incredible Journey, a heartwarming short film about Biringan City's hidden folklore. In the heart of Biringan City, whispers of nostalgia filled the air as Clara, a single mother and librarian, prepared for the annual cultural festival. Her 10-year-old daughter, Maya, flitted around, her laughter lightening Clara's burdens. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Clara clutched a worn tale of their past, the enchantment of their folklore now threatened by the shiny allure of business that her estranged brother, Ethan, was bringing to town. He envisioned a commercial spectacle, a carnival of products rather than a heartfelt homage to their roots. Clara felt the weight of her community's expectations, like a heavy cloak, wrapped snugly and unyielding. Each day was a grind, yet she navigated this storm, determined to preserve the stories that once danced on the lips of their ancestors. She often told Maya about the spirits who roamed the woods and the brave warriors who once called Biringan home, igniting a spark of curiosity in her eyes. But with the festival looming, doubt crept in. People who should have been her allies dismissed her plea for tradition. "It's just a story," they'd say. "Times are changing." Tears pricked Clara's eyes, as she wondered if anyone would care to listen. Just when hopelessness threatened to snuff her light, Maya stumbled upon an old legend hidden in Clara's dusty archives, a fable of unity, and a treasure buried deep within the community's heart. Their bond made stronger through shared tales. "Mom, this is incredible. We need to share this." Maya beamed, clenching the ancient parchment like a precious gem. Clara's sorrow shifted to a glimmer of hope, igniting the fight that stirred within her. Before they could breathe, the call for the festival rang out across Biringan City. Clara's heart raced as she imagined standing before her community, sharing their heritage, a piece of their past woven into every word. A moment of collective recognition, a chance for unity. But fear clawed at her. What if they lacked? What if Ethan's business model outshined her? Racked with tension and uncertainty, Clara took a deep breath, feeling Maya's warmth beside her. "I can do this," she murmured, though her voice trembled. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the sun set on the eve of the festival, Clara found herself standing on the stage, the weight of every expectant gaze heavy upon her. She opened her mouth to speak, but the crowd murmured, eyes sharp with skepticism. Just when she thought all was lost, a startling revelation slipped from the shadows. Ethan was not just there to manage the festival, but to push his agenda, turning their beloved celebration into a marketing strategy. A gasp echoed through the crowd, painted expressions of shock on their faces. Clara's heart pounded in her chest. Would her plea for recognition of their roots unite them or deepen the divide? As her gaze met Maya's bright reflection of pride, Clara felt the spark of courage pushing her forward. Here in Biringan, stories weren't just tales, they were lifelines. And now, she had to fight for them. Would a single voice rise against the tide, or would their cherished folklore fade into the background? The audience waited, breath bated, while one question lingered in the air. Could Clara turn the tide for her community? Clara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her grandmother's pendant around her neck, a little token of strength. She glanced at Maya, who nodded encouragingly, her face lit with unwavering belief. The whispers faded as Clara focused on the crowd before her. It was time to reclaim what mattered. "Thank you all for being here," Clara started, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "This festival is more than just a celebration. It's our lifeline. It connects us to our past and to each other." Ethan's eyes narrowed from the sidelines. Clara could feel his disapproval, but she pushed it aside. You see, our folklore is rich with stories, tales of bravery, of love, and of the spirits that protect our land. It's easy to forget in a world racing towards the next shiny thing. The murmurs in the crowd began to quiet, curiosity tugging at their attention. She described the legend Maya had discovered, the tale that spoke of unity and the treasure of their community spirit. As Clara recounted the story, vibrant imagery painted itself across the crowd's faces. She spoke of the great warrior, the sun-kissed fields, and the river that whispered the hopes of generations. I'm here to remind you that every single one of us is a part of this story, she said fiercely, her voice rising in passion. Our history is our strength. When we lose that, we lose a piece of ourselves. She glanced at Maya again, whose eyes were wide, sparkling with pride. With each word, Clara felt her doubts fading, replaced by an overwhelming sense of purpose. The crowd remained silent, hanging on to her every syllable, and for the first time, she sensed a shift among them. But then, Ethan stepped forward, determination carved into his features. Clara, with all due respect, we need to move forward. People love entertainment, let us give them the festival of their dreams. I promise, we can celebrate our culture and make it profitable. Clara shook her head, responding quickly before he could say more. But at what cost, Ethan? What use is a dream if it's built on the ashes of our heritage? Her heart raced, electricity coursing through her veins. What we're fighting for isn't just a tradition, it's our identity. Ethan's brow furrowed as he took a step back. The crowd murmured, shifting uneasily. Clara felt the tension, but also a spark of hope igniting in a corner of her soul. Community means coming together, she continued. It means standing up for what we believe in. Who here wants to join me in preserving our stories? A hand shot up from the crowd, followed by 2, then 4. Clara's heart swelled as more raised their hands, the initial skepticism melting into something beautiful and united. Voices hummed in agreement, excitement sparking under the fading light. Maya leaped up beside Clara, eyes alight with determination. Mom, let us make this festival about our stories. We can share everything, the legends. The songs combine the old with the new without losing any of it. The crowd erupted, cheers and shouts echoing across the square. Clara let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. She turned to see Ethan's expression shift, confusion mingling with realization. In that moment, Clara understood. They could build a future together while honoring the past. But just as the crowd rallied around her, a thunderous storm approached, dark clouds swirling ominously overhead. Clara's heart dropped. The weather, she began, looking up into the gathering clouds. Could this celebration withstand not just doubters, but nature's fury too? As the first raindrop fell, Clara's voice rang out over the crowd. Together, we will weather this storm. But with doubts and fears swirling alongside the tempest, would this moment of unity hold firm, or would the deluge tear them apart? The heavens seemed to crack open, pouring down rain as if the world was intent on testing Clara's resolve. She blinked against the sudden wetness and felt the water trickle down her neck, but her heart raced with a mix of fear and hope. The crowd gasped, some instinctively shifting closer together, seeking warmth and solidarity. Maya tugged at her mother's arm, wide-eyed. Mom, what do we do? But Clara could see that Maya's excitement still sparkled. She was ready to face whatever came their way, and so was Clara. Stay strong, Clara called out, raising her voice to combat the rising wind. Who knows, maybe this rain is a blessing. It reminds us of how intertwined we are with nature. This festival, our stories, will flourish just like our crops do after the rain. A ripple of murmurs danced through the crowd. Clara looked around, seeing familiar faces both young and old, and she could feel their faith growing stronger. Together, they had faced storms before. This time would be no different. Ethan was now at the edge of the square, his arms crossed tightly over his chest, yet Clara could sense his walls wavering. His gaze drifted between the rain and the shaking confidence radiating from Clara. "Let us make a vow together," Clara shouted, her heart pounding in her chest. "A vow to support our heritage and amplify our voices." The crowd hesitated at first, still unsure, but then murmurs grew into a low hum. One by one, hesitant hands began to grasp one another. Then the vibrations began to swell, as arms linked and people moved closer, forming a chain of warmth and resilience. Maya, with her fierce spirit, lifted her father's old guitar, echoing an energizing strum that echoed through the storm. "Let us sing our songs. Let us share our stories." Surprised laughter erupted within the rain-soaked crowd, but then they joined in. First, it was soft and hesitant voices, but Clara felt their strength building alongside the storm. As the raindrops fell harder, laughter and melody thundered through the air. Clara couldn't believe how the sound of her community blossomed, blending harmoniously with the cacophony of nature. Each note spoke of love, of shared history, and of unyielding hope. Clara's heart soared, and the pendant around her neck seemed to glow with newfound energy. They sang tales of the great festivals of old and danced in a circle, water splashing around them. No longer were they just fighting against the storm. They were celebrating life itself despite it. But then a sharp crack of thunder split the air, drawing Clara's attention skyward. Lightning illuminated the scene, showing the faces of her friends and family aflame with determination. "Remember, everyone," Clara called out, her voice resonating above the wild wind. "We are our stories. Nothing can tear us apart. Not the rain, not doubt, and certainly not fear." As the crowd roared in agreement, Clara felt a small flicker of fear rise within her. What if the storm turned violent? While the rain invigorated their spirits for now, what lay ahead? A sudden gust of wind rippled through the square, chilling Clara to the bone. It howled like a warning. Would their gathering hold up against the brewing fury of nature and the tension that was still lingering in the air? Clara pulled Maya close, the music still ringing in their ears. They had ignited a spark, but could it weather the storm ahead, or would it flicker and fade away? The wind howled fiercely, whipping the rain against their faces like 1,000 icy fingers. Clara's heart raced, not just from the chill, but from the uncertainty that loomed over them. She clung to Maya, feeling the steady beat of her daughter's excitement amidst the chaos. But there was something darker in the air, something unsettling lurking just beyond their warmth. "Mom, look!" Maya shouted, pointing toward the edge of the square. Clara turned to see a group of figures emerging from the shadows of the trees. They were cloaked in dark garments, their faces obscured by hoods. The crowd as singing halted, the joyful atmosphere shifting to one of confusion and apprehension. "Maya, stay close," Clara whispered urgently, her arms tightening around her daughter as she scanned the newcomers. The figures approached, and a hush fell over the gathering. Clara's breath caught in her throat. She recognized one of them. It was Old Man Hargrove, known for his tales that danced on the edge of myth and the stories of the land. His rugged face was etched with lines of worry, an unusual expression for a man who usually held wisdom and warmth. "Clara!" he called, his voice deep and resonant despite the storm. "Gather the community. There is something we need to discuss." Clara's stomach nodded. Whatever it was, it felt heavy like the leaden sky. With a nod from her, lighting flickered across the crowd as she called for their attention once more. "Everyone, let us listen to Old Man Hargrove. We must remain united." As if moved by an unseen force, the villagers gathered, forming a semicircle around the newcomers. Clara could see their worried faces reflecting the fear that gripped her heart. Hargrove stepped forward, the rain glistening on his gnarled hands. I have seen omens, dear friends, he said, voice steady but laced with urgency. Nature is restless. This storm may be a precursor to something much darker, a shadow that threatens our home and our heritage. The crowd murmured, disbelief mingling with concern. Clara's heart raced for another reason now. A premonition nagged at the edges of her mind. What kind of threat could overshadow a festival built on their unity and resilience? Old Man Hargrove, Clara questioned, her voice echoing in the charged atmosphere. What do you mean? What can we do? Stories hold power, he replied, looking directly into her eyes. The tales of our ancestors guide us. We must join forces, share our wisdom, and prepare for the trials ahead. Only together can we withstand what may come. Some in the crowd began to doubt. Whispers spread like wildfire. It's just a storm, why fear? What has happened? But Clara felt the urgency rising within her. Maya, she turned, the spark of determination igniting in her daughter's eyes. We can't lose hope. We can't let fear consume us. We fight for our stories, for our community, for each other. As if awakened by her words, the crowd shook off their hesitation. One by one, they began to speak, sharing their own tales of courage, of struggles faced and overcome, and the triumphs woven into the fabric of their community. Clara felt the energy shift, palpably brightening her world even in the midst of the storm. But their energy also attracted the winds, which began to howl even louder. Clara's heart pounded in sync with the tempest rolling in, a reminder of the challenge they faced. Stand firm, Clara called, raising her voice above the mounting chaos. Together, we will harness the storm. Our stories are stronger than fear. And just as the final echoes of her declaration faded, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the square, momentarily casting long shadows over the crowd. Clara's breath caught once again, as she felt a strong sense that something monumental was on the horizon. What would they uncover in the depths of the storm? And what secrets lay hidden in their stories, waiting to be revealed? The rain pounded down harder, as if the skies themselves were weeping. Clara could feel the collective breath of the crowd. Their hearts were pounding, each beat synchronized with the crack of thunder rolling in from the horizon. Maya, hold my hand tightly, she said, squeezing her daughter's fingers. The girl nodded, eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination. Old Man Hargrove continued, his voice rising above the tempest. Our ancestors faced darkness before, and they triumphed by uniting in their stories. Remember the tale of the great firebird? The whispers brought forth by our elders? He paused, gauging the crowd's response. Clara felt something shift, nostalgia creeping into her heart. The story of the firebird had been a favorite of hers, as a child, how it soared high above the ashes, bringing light and warmth back to a frozen land. The tale spoke of hope blooming amidst despair. Yes, someone in the back shouted, voice cracking. The murmur grew. And the river of dreams, too. When the waters turned to ice, we sang to them until they flowed again. Remembering the warmth of those stories, Clara's heart swelled. That's right. We are linked through our histories, she called out, urging them to remember. The tales we tell weave our destinies together. If we raise our voices now, we can call upon those stories to protect us. Suddenly, as if answering her rallying cry, spirits soared around the square. Villagers began reciting snippets of the folk tales that had cradled their childhoods. Clara recognized familiar phrases, each story a thread in the fabric of their community. The sound soared higher, a hymn wreathed in hope and resilience. The crowd as fear began to dissipate, replaced by the echoes of laughter and courage. Clara noticed Maya was no longer trembling. Instead, her little face glowed with determination. But then, a sudden gust of wind struck, chilling Clara to her core. It swept through the gathering like a wailing specter, snatching away the warmth of their joy and scattering the words like autumn leaves. The villagers staggered even as their spirits defied the squall, voices trembling but fierce. "Stand firm," Clara shouted once more. "Remember who we are. Our stories shape the land we walk upon." Lightning cracked ominously, searing a jagged line across the sky, and Clara could see Old Man Hargrove's face illuminated, fierce and determined like the stories of the past he conjured. Yet, something more sinister flickered in his eyes. Was it urgency? Fear? In the eye of the storm, a sharp cry cut through the murmuring. "Look! The trees!" Clara turned, following the pointing fingers. The towering pines at the edge of the square seemed to sway unnaturally, as if the wind was whispering secrets to them. With each gust, they bowed and twisted, and Clara felt an unsettled shiver run down her spine. Then it happened. The earth beneath their feet trembled, a low rumble that vibrated through the body. Villagers looked to one another, wide-eyed, and Clara could see the first flicker of doubt returning to their faces. "Clara!" Maya clung desperately to her side, her voice barely a whisper. "Stay close, sweetheart." Clara's heart raced. The storm had revealed its teeth, and uncertainty clawed at her courage. "Old Man Hargrove," she called out again, sensing the weight of the unknown pressing down. "What does this mean? What do we do now?" His expression hardened, tinged with urgency. "The storm is more than just thunder and rain, Clara. It is an omen of something deeper, a reminder that our stories, though powerful, must be acknowledged fully. We are facing shadows that won't just recede. We must not only connect with our past, we must reclaim our future." Her breath caught in her throat, filled with a new understanding, one that reached beyond folklore and gathered strength from the essence of their community. "Then let us prepare," Clara urged, her voice ringing out above the gusts. "Let us reveal the truths hidden in our tales. Together, we will face the shadows." But as she spoke, a chilling laugh intertwined with the wind, echoing from the trees. It felt almost alive, taunting, threatening to break the bond they were trying to forge. Clara's heart raced. What were they stirring? With the storm rising around them, and the laughter growing louder, what awaited them beyond their woven tales? Clara couldn't shake the feeling that something even more significant was coming. Maya tightened her grip on Clara's hand, her eyes darting nervously toward the trees. The laughter echoed again, low and sinister, dancing through the air like shadows. Clara could feel the anxiety radiating from the crowd, a thick cloud settling over their once spirited gathering. "Focus on the stories. Remember the Firebird," Old Man Hargrove shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Clara took a deep breath, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Yes, the Firebird," she echoed, hoping to rekindle the spark of courage in everyone. "When darkness spreads, we remember the light it once brought us. It can guide us still." The villagers began to recite the tale anew, their voices intertwining like a symphony. The words spoke of hope and resilience, and Clara could feel a warmth building in her chest, a collective heartbeat that started to drown out the storm. The shadows swirling around them seemed to falter for just a moment, as if the power of their stories held a tangible weight. Then, another tremor rocked the ground, sharper this time, sending murmurs of concern through the crowd. Clara's heart sank. It was as if the earth itself was warning them, reminding them that the battle they faced was more than just a storm. "Clara!" Maya's voice broke again, fear cracking its surface. The girl pressed closer, hiding her face against Clara's side, as if seeking refuge. "It's okay, honey," Clara whispered, her heart aching for her brave little girl. "We'll get through this together." "Look!" someone shouted, pointing at the pines. As the gusts raged, the trees twisted and contorted further, their trunks bending unnaturally, as if they were battling something unseen. Clara steeled herself, recognizing that these trees held more than just whispers. They were symbols of strength and endurance. "Think of the river of dreams," she shouted to the villagers. Remember how we sang to bring it back to life. We have the power to transform our fears into strength. With renewed vigor, the villagers lifted their voices higher. Clara felt the shift in energy, a collective defiance against the storm. Even Old Man Hargrove steadied himself, the determination in his eyes returning. But the laughter from the trees grew louder, piercing, mocking. Shadows darted between the branches, and Clara squinted, trying to catch a glimpse of the source. Was it a figment of her own fear, or was there something lurking just beyond sight? "Together," she cried, her voice soaring above the tempest. "Together, we can confront whatever this is." With each echoing tale, the air shimmered with an almost electric energy. Clara felt a connection weaving through the group. It was a network of history, of tradition, of every hardship faced and overcome by generations before them. They weren't just standing against a storm. They were standing united. Then silence fell, sudden and heavy. The laughter ceased, replaced by an eerie stillness that hung in the air like a fragile sheet of glass. Clara exchanged glances with her neighbors, uncertainty cloaking their resolve. "What happens now?" someone whispered, dread creeping back into their voices. Clara glanced at Maya, whose small face was tilted up, watching her intently. "We push on," she replied softly. "We seek the truth in our tales. We dig deeper." But as she spoke, a flash of light erupted from the trees, illuminating the dark sky a blinding white that momentarily enveloped everything around them. Clara shielded her eyes, heart racing, as a figure emerged from the blinding light. In that moment, uncertainty twisted into raw fear. Who or what was this presence? With the villagers frozen, caught between their eager hope and paralyzing dread, Clara took a step forward, her heart thundering in her chest. Whatever it was, it demanded their attention. "Who are you?" she called, hands trembling as she readied herself for whatever might come next. Was this the manifestation of their stories, or something darker? The light pulsed again, and as it dimmed, Clara felt a sinking realization. They were about to face something that would reshape their future regardless of the tales spun in the past. The figure stepped forward, shrouded in silvery light. Clara's breath hitched in her throat as it took shape, a tall, ethereal being with wings that flickered like stars in the night sky. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly wisdom, a depth that seemed to peer straight into the very essence of her soul. "Maya, stay close," Clara murmured, heart pounding. The villagers gasped, a collective intake of breath, their eyes wide with wonder and fear. "Courageous ones," the being spoke, its voice a soothing melody that wrapped around them, laced with an echo of the forgotten tales they cherished. "You stand at the brink of a great reckoning. Your stories, woven through time, have summoned me." "Summoned?" Clara echoed, her mind racing. "Why us?" "Because," the being continued, "within you lies a power forged by the trials you have faced. It is time to remember that strength." The light intensified, and Clara could feel warmth spreading through the crowd, igniting hearts that had been dimmed by fear. Old Man Hargrove stepped forward, the weight of his years reflected in his expression, a mixture of awe and honesty. "What must we do?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. The figure gestured towards the trees, still writhing with shadows that seemed to cling to the darkness. "To confront the storm, you must embrace the truth hidden within your hearts. The laughter you hear does not belong to the shadows that haunt you. It is a part of your own lineage. Claim it." Clara exchanged glances with Maya, looking for a flicker of understanding in her daughter's eyes. The little girl nodded, her grip on Clara's hand tightening, arms raised as if ready to embrace whatever came next. "Remember the stories," Clara shouted to the villagers, rallying them once more. "The laughter is ours. It belongs to us, to our history, our ancestors." "Yes," the crowd responded, voices gaining strength. As they spoke, the shadows laughed again, more cacophonous this time, mocking yet strangely inviting. Clara felt a swell of defiance rise within her, pushing against the fear that had once gripped her heart. "No more," she declared, her voice gaining a fierce edge. "We reclaim our joy." With each interwoven tale of ancestors shared aloud, the laughter morphed, spilling out into something bright and vibrant, breaking gridlock. The shadows recoiled, twisting back into the depths of the trees. The figure regarded them with approval, its wings shimmering like the dawn. "And now you must choose. Will you let fear dictate your future, or will you embrace your stories to forge a new path?" A wave of silence fell over them again, but this time, it was lighter and open air filled with potential. Clara's heart raced as she considered the implications. She looked at her neighbors. Their faces wore the same mix of resolve and uncertainty. Maya squeezed her hand tighter. "Mom, we can do this, can't we?" "Together," Clara replied, the warmth in her chest buoying her spirits. "Together, we can." And in that moment, they all stepped forward, voices unified in a powerful chorus, calling upon the light to shine in the darkest corners of their fears. But just as they reached a crescendo, the figure began to dissolve into the ether, leaving behind a cloud of shimmering light. "Remember this moment," it whispered. "It holds the key to what lies ahead. Seek the spark within." As the last remnants of the light faded, the villagers stood together, rooted in the newfound courage coursing through their veins. "Now what?" someone murmured hesitantly. Clara caught Maya's gaze once more, feeling the weight of possibilities unfurling before them. "Now, we follow the light," she said, heart filled with determination. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was only the beginning. Inwardly, a question simmered. What would they discover if they dared to confront the darkness head-on, unearthing what the shadows might be hiding? Clara took a deep breath, ready to lead them into the unknown. Clara took a steadying breath, her feet moving forward in rhythm with her heartbeat. The villagers followed, a wave of determination swelling behind her. Each stride was a step further into the glow that radiated from where the being had stood. They were venturing into that tangible shimmer, a kind of warmth that wrapped around them like a protective cloak. As they approached the edge of the forest, the darkness loomed, yet it felt less menacing than before. Clara could hear Maya's breath beside her, soft and steady. She glanced down and saw her daughter's eyes sparkling with both fear and excitement, a reflection of her own. "Just hold on to my hand," Clara whispered. "We're stronger together." The trees parted slightly as if welcoming them, but the laughter of the shadows still echoed unsettlingly. It was a haunting sound, both playful and sinister. Clara squeezed her daughter's hand tighter, drawing on her own courage. "We're here to listen," she called into the dark. "What do you want from us?" A low whisper rustled through the branches, brushing against her skin, leaving a trail of goosebumps. "Fight for your stories," it murmured, swirling around the group like a fleeting breeze. But Clara was no longer afraid of the shadows. They were a reflection of everything they had lost: fear, laughter, and the spirit of joy that had dimmed over the years. One by one, villagers began to share their tales, stories of love, loss, and laughter that had brought them together as a community. Clara felt herself getting lost in the rhythm of the stories. They followed one another, a beautiful tapestry being wove before her eyes. Old Man Hargrove recounted his youthful adventures, the pranks he had pulled, and the joy radiating from the laughter shared under the stars. Others joined in, feeding off each other's energy, bringing life back to the air that was laden with shadows. Maya's voice rang clear, breaking through the noise. "And then we danced under the moonlight." The villagers chuckled together, and Clara felt warmth rising within her. There it was, the sheer joy in the truth, the power in shared memories. As they spoke, the shadows wrapped around them, vibrating with unease. Clara could feel the darkness tugging at her fear, urging her to retreat. But she stood tall, leaning into the stories, inviting the shadows to join their dance. "These are our stories. They are not your playthings," she shouted, her voice echoing into the expanse. With each tale shared, the laughter grew, wrapping around the group like warmth on a cold night. Shadows thinned and shrank back, retreating into the depths of the forest, their laughter fading into the night. Clara felt the groundedness of unity, the shift from fear to empowerment humming through her. But just as the shadows began to fade, a thick fog rolled in from the trees, swirling around them, obscuring their vision. Clara's heart raced as the air buzzed with electricity. She could sense the whispers turning darker, the shadows regrouping, only to return with a new intensity. "Clara!" Maya shouted, her small voice trembling. Clara dropped to one knee, meeting her daughter's gaze. "We don't give in, Maya," she whispered, her heart aching with determination. "We've come too far. Will they come back?" Maya's eyes were wide with uncertainty. "Only if we let them," Clara answered, squeezing her hand. The fog thickened, and whispers escalated in volume. There was something hidden beneath the shroud of mist. A glint of something or someone gleamed faintly in the distance. Clara peered through the haze, a sense of urgency mounting. "What is that?" she murmured. As they turned, her breath hitched. On the path ahead, a figure emerged, dimly lit but undeniably present. And it seemed to beckon them. Would they chase this new presence into the fog, or would they stand their ground against the shadows? Clara took a step forward, resolute. "Whatever it is, we face it together." But the lingering unknown made her pulse quicken, weaving a thread of anticipation in the air. What awaited them in the depths of the mist? Clara squinted into the fog, trying to decipher the figure emerging from the swirling mists. It danced at the edge of her vision, teasing her with its presence. But even amidst her uncertainty, something felt familiar about it. Her heartbeat quickened, pulling her forward despite the cool tendrils of fear wrapping around her spine. "Maya, stay close," Clara instructed, though her voice trembled. She took another step, feeling the ground beneath her squish slightly, as if the earth itself was alive with anticipation. As they moved, the figure resolved itself into a shape, a woman, shimmering softly. Clara gasped. The ethereal glow illuminated her features, revealing a kind face, with eyes that mirrored the depths of the ocean. There was wisdom there, and a hint of sadness too. Clara felt a tug in her heart, a connection forming before her. Mistress of the forest, Clara breathed, recognizing the presence from stories told around the village. The tales had always held kindness, an ancient protector of the land. "Is it really you?" The woman smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I am what remains of the stories that have frayed against the edges of time. I am bound here, waiting to see if the heart of this community will recognize its own strength." Clara looked back at the villagers, who stood frozen, eyes wide, as they slowly absorbed the sight of the figure. Their collective breath hung in the air, a mixture of wonder and bewilderment. "Recognize our strength?" Clara echoed. "We've been fighting shadows. How are we supposed to find courage amidst all of this?" "Stories," the woman whispered. "The stories of the light. You shared your laughter and love tonight, and it echoes in these woods. But more is required. You must reclaim what was lost, not only for yourselves, but for those who will come after you." A chill crept through Clara's heart. Reclaim what? The laughter that has faded, the joy that has been buried beneath sorrow. The darkness is drawn to fear, but light pushes it away. You must share the tales long forgotten, those that speak of hope, of family, of advancements realized through adversity. Maya moved closer to her mother, eyes bright with questions. "But we've told our stories," she said, a hint of confusion in her voice. "What else can we do?" The woman's eyes twinkled gently. "You will find the next chapter in the heart of the village. Seek out those who have remained silent. People still carry their tales, hidden deep, waiting for the right moment to be told. Share with them the laughter of today, the echo of forgotten joys, and your village will become the beacon against the shadows. The fog thickened around them, the jarring chill pressing down as anxiety flared in Clara's chest. But how do we start? The woman's smile widened, and she motioned with her hand, the glow intensifying. Tonight is just the beginning. Witness the strength that comes from unity and understanding. Listen to the voices of your ancestors. As she spoke, a fierce gust swept through the forest, dispersing the fog just slightly, and revealing the path behind them leading back to the village. Clara felt the surge of purpose, warmth spreading through her fingertips. Yet in the back of her mind loomed a cloud of apprehension. Could they truly unearth the lost stories? Would the villagers be ready to share the tales that held their hearts? The woman began to fade into the mist, her last words ringing out clearly, and with a delightful urgency. Embrace the journey ahead, Clara. The stories you uncover will not just save you, but also empower generations to come. Clara turned to the villagers. The warmth of shared memories flickered like a candle in the wind, igniting fragile hope amidst the wet chill. Let us go back. We've got work to do, she declared, her voice buoyed with newfound strength. As they began to walk, the whispers of the forest faded behind them, giving way to the excited murmurs of the villagers. But lingering behind was the question that hung in the air. Would they be bold enough to face the echoes of the past? Would they unlock the vault of memories waiting to be shared? As they walked further down the path, Clara's heart pounded, filled with anticipation. What stories awaited them in the village? The first whispers of dawn broke on the horizon, promising a light of revelation to come. The sun began to rise over Biringan City, casting golden rays across the damp earth as Clara led the villagers back toward their community. The air was fresher now, filled with the scent of rain-soaked earth. A feeling of potential hung in the atmosphere. Clara felt excitement mingling with a bit of apprehension in her chest. She could almost hear the echoes of their tales calling out to her, urging her to dig deep. As they approached the town square, Clara caught sight of the animated faces of friends and neighbors. Curiosity painted across their features. They had watched the festival's transformation unfold, witnessing their own folklore rise from shadows and reclaim its place in their hearts. Clara's spirits lifted as a sense of togetherness washed over her, a palpable energy igniting in the crowd. Maya, do you remember the stories the elders used to tell us? Clara asked, turning to her daughter, whose radiant smile could have lit up the dampest of days. About how laughter could energize everything around us. Yes. Like the time the great firebird saved the village from despair. Maya chimed in, her excitement infectious. With newfound determination, Clara took a deep breath, grounding herself. Let us start there. We need to share our love for these tales, the ones that connect us. We'll gather those who have stories buried deep in their hearts, those yearning to be heard. The villagers nodded, a wave of agreement rippling throughout the square. They began to split off into small groups, excitement swirling around them, the love for their culture rekindling a light of hope. Clara paired with Maya, and together they headed to the elder's home, Ms. Ramirez, a woman whose wisdom had shaped many of their childhoods. Knocking gently, Clara felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her as Ms. Ramirez opened the door, surprise lighting her eyes. Clara! Maya? What brings you here so early? Ms. Ramirez, we're ready to reclaim the stories, Clara exclaimed, urgency guiding her voice. We want to rejuvenate the tales of Biringan, to gather the laughter that once echoed here. The elder's face softened, and a tear slipped down her cheek. You have no idea how long I have waited to hear those words. Maya stepped closer, her heart resonating with the elder's warmth. Can you tell us about the great tiger of Biringan? The one who danced in the moonlight? A smile spread across Ms. Ramirez's face, her eyes sparkling with the memories that bubbled to the surface. Ah, the great tiger. He is a symbol of bravery and strength. But more importantly, he brought our village together as they sat, Wrapped in the warmth of Ms. Ramirez's stories, Clara felt the wisdom of generations pouring through her, each tale a thread binding their community tighter. Laughter erupted as anecdotes unfolded, drowning the remaining shadows lurking on the edges of their minds. Soon, they ventured into the streets, roaming through the village, collecting every bit of laughter and countless memories. Clara watched as mothers and fathers recounted the stories that had shaped their lives. Children listened wide-eyed, their adventures inflating the air around them like balloons eager to fly. She was enchanted by the way these moments of sharing brought smiles to faces once veiled by weariness. As the sun climbed higher, painting the sky with brilliant hues, the villagers gathered once more in the square, an ad hoc festival of reconnection emerging organically. Clara stood before them, her heart thrumming a steady beat of excitement. "Now, it's time for us to share the magic we've uncovered," she announced, her voice steady and unyielding. Around her, villagers nodded, their expressions brimming with eagerness. In that moment, as she looked around, her heart felt full. Clara released her breath, feeling so much lighter. It was real, this transformation was unfolding. They weren't just reclaiming their stories, they were reviving their community. Together, they shared stories of laughter, love, and strength, some old and others new. They recited fables of the great river's healing and the tales of the village's great firebird. By nightfall, the square was filled with laughter punctuated by the strumming of guitars, a dance linking the past and future into one vibrant tapestry. Ethan stood on the edge of the crowd, his expression different, sober but thoughtful. Clara caught his eye, a silent question lingering between them. Perhaps there's room for both," he finally admitted, stepping forward. "I see what the stories mean to everyone. If we can create something that honors nostalgia, we could genuinely celebrate our culture here." Clara's heart swelled, tears pricking in her eyes. "Ethan, we can do this. Together." He nodded resolutely. "Let us keep the spirit alive." As the night deepened, the stories continued weaving through the air, wrapping around Clara and the community like a warm embrace. Biringan City was thriving, revitalized not by the commercialization Ethan initially sought, but by the depth of connection and the luminous light of shared heritage. In those moments, Clara understood that they had not merely weathered the storm together, they had transformed it into a tapestry of resilience, one that celebrated their roots and nurtured a new path forward. They had discovered the heartbeat of Biringan, and it thrummed tenaciously with the joy of unity. As the festival wound down, the stars twinkled brightly overhead, a shimmering reminder that hope could blossom from even the darkest storms. Now is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, it truly matters to us. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to help spread the spark of change.